Hey adventurers, so today's going to be another book tag. This is going to be the Bring Back Browsing book tag. I was tagged by Shannon's Shelf, and there's only 4 prompts here, so hopefully it won't take too long. It's more of a discussion tag than it is a list of things. So let's go through them. Prompts. The first prompt is Magic of Discovery. Share a book you found while browsing that you may not have discovered otherwise. So this is I haven't read it yet, but this is one that I found while, I don't remember what bookstore I was at. It was one of the used bookstores, and I was just browsing the shelves, and I like to look at the Arthurian shelf, the Arthurian section, because I love Arthurian. Oh wait. I do know what bookstore I got it at. Anyways, I love looking for Arthurian fiction because Arthurian literature, because it's one of those genres that I'll basically, with exceptions, read pretty much everything that exists in the genre. And so I was browsing, and it was right after, I don't know if it was before or after, but it was right around the time that I read the Le Morte d'Arthur. And so, reading that and reading The Once and Future King, I was very intrigued by the character of Mordred and who he was. And so I saw this one, Mordred's Curse by Ian McDowell, and I was like, oh, I have to buy that one, because it's not one that I've ever heard of before. It's not something that I've ever seen before. But then I pulled it off I saw the title, Mordred's Curse, and then I see the cover art, which is very beautiful, done by Doug Beekman. And I was like, okay, I've got to pick this one up. I have no idea what it's about. Obviously, it's about Mordred, and so I'm interested to read a book that's primarily from Mordred's perspective, or about Mordred. And Mordred is not one of those characters that I am attached to, that I like or anything like that. But I am intrigued by what an author could do with his character, and so I'm very excited to read this one, even though I haven't as of yet. Prompt 2 is Expanding World. Share a book that's made you view things from a different perspective or exposed you to new ideas. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a cop-out on this. I could say the Bible. Obviously, that would be the easy answer. But the one, and there's been other books that have done it, but since I primarily read fiction, I've decided to go with one of the fiction books that has been the most impactful on me in terms of the way that I think and the way that I see the world, view the world. And that is obviously Lord of the Rings by J.R. Tolkien. This book literally changed the way that I approach stories, the way that I see the world. And it has had a very, very strong influence on me. Obviously, you can look at my channel, and I have done more videos about the Lord of the Rings, or on the topic of something Tolkien related, than any other thing on the channel. And it's a very important story to me. It's a very important world, book, all that kind of stuff. But also, obviously, for just the story itself, and for the time that I read it in, the impact that it had on the time that I read it in. But also, it's actually changed Tolkien. The more I study Tolkien, the more it changed. I understand how much this book, The Lord of the Rings, has changed the way that I perceive storytelling, that I perceive the world even. And it's not even, I wouldn't even say that it has changed the way I see the world, but more it has revealed to me how I see the world, I guess, is probably a better way of saying that. And that is basically, I see the world in stories. I look at things and I see the story of it more than I see the facts, or the however you want to say it. I am very story focused. I see the world through story, and that's, I guess you could say, that was unlocked in me by reading Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit, and Silmarillion, and Unfinished Tales, and the various other things that I've read from Tolkien have continued to deepen my understanding of my own perspective on the world. Question 3 is Open to Change. Share a book that has changed who you are as a person or altered your day-to-day habits. So once again, I could easily choose the Bible. I could easily choose Lord of the Rings. There was 2 other books that I was thinking about, and the one that I ended up going with is actually The Giver by Lois Lowry, and I don't have a copy of this. I need to get myself a physical copy of this book, and this whole series, because the first 2 books, The Giver and Gathering Blue, which are the first two books in the series, are very some of my favorite books and very impactful. The Giver, especially though, was one where obviously the story is terrifying. The story it's a dystopian novel, and so you're not going to feel good at the end of the story, but it's also there's a glimmer of hope at the end of The Giver. Throughout the whole story, it's a story about memory. It's a story about so many different things. But there's one specific thing that is mentioned in passing, and it's used as a means of oppression in the book. But it has stuck with me, and it has caused me to be able to express myself better. And that is this idea of precision of language, which is basically use the term that accurately portrays what you're trying to say. Don't just use whatever word comes to your mind or whatever filler word you can use to fit into the situation, but actually pick the specific word that has the correct definition for what you're looking for. And I don't always succeed at this, but it is something where I have become far more intentional with the words that I choose, and it is something that has changed my daily habit, because it's something where I am very specifically thinking about what it is that I'm trying to say and the way that I'm trying to say it. And obviously, if you go back and listen to this video, you'll see that I failed several times, but I also keep trying. And so that's one book that has specifically influenced me in that way, and I appreciate that. And then final prompt 4 is browse a bookstore, library, or a friend's shelves and talk about a book you found. So I'm going to talk about a book that I found browsing a bookstore in the past, rather than just walking through and finding somebody's book. But it's actually a collection of collections, and I only pulled one of them. I have 7 or something of these books, and that is the works of, and so this one is the works of Oscar Wilde, and I have ones that are the works of Alexander Dumas, the works of Guy de Maupassant, works of, and just a whole bunch of authors, Victor Hugo, and just go down the list, and I've got like 7 of them, and I know there's more of them. And so these are ones that I found browsing a used bookstore, actually the same bookstore as I found Mordred's Curse at. And they're collections of, so in this one by Oscar Wilde, I have The Ballad of Reading Gal, Charmides, maybe, Panthea, Ravenna, The Garden of Eros, The Burden of Itys, Humanitad, The Sphinx, Eleutheria, Rosa Mystica, and many, many more. And so it's a collection of the works of these authors, oftentimes not their most famous works. I do have H. Rider Haggard, which contains She, and some of his other more famous ones, but it's like these short stories or these poems or whatever by these authors. And I saw them and I was like, I have to have these. These are amazing. These are incredible. Just to have these various different works accessible to me in a way that so many other people won't. And if they do exist, like, you'll have to go find them individually, one at a time type thing. Whereas I have this whole collection of these mini stories, and I haven't really dug into them, but they're ones that I saw and I was like, I have to have these on my shelf for when I do want them, or whenever I choose to go read one of these classic authors. So that is the book that I chose to bring in and talk about, and I'm very ecstatic to own these books. And there are more. I know there's more because I did the play Rope, and one of the castmates, I brought my whole section, or my whole collection in that I have of these books, in for props basically, and one of the other castmates was like, oh, I have some of those too, and so she brought the rest of hers in that she had, and there was some crossover, but there was some ones that I didn't have, and I had some ones that she didn't have and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I've got to keep looking because I want all of these. And yeah, anyways, it's just that's what I chose to talk about, because it was one where I was just browsing a shelf, and it was like the bookstore is just piles and piles of books everywhere, and you almost can't find anything if you're looking for something specific. But I noticed like a pretty antique looking book down on the floor, and I started looking at it, and I pulled it out and was like, oh, this is interesting. And I saw a whole bunch of them, and I started digging them out, and they were all these books, and I was like, this is so cool. I have to get all these. It was a little bit more expensive than I would have preferred to pay, but I do think it's worth it. They're just, I can't wait to actually read things from them. I did start reading She from by H. Rider Haggard out of the works of H. Rider, or the works of Haggard that I have, but I set it down. It was a temporary DNF, I guess. I do intend to go back to it. It was like the first part of it was fascinating. The preparation for the going off on the journey was like I was fully engaged, and then we get to Africa, and I'm just like I'm done with the story. Like I don't care anymore, and so I'll go back to it. I do plan to go back to it. I do want to at some point, especially for how impactful Haggard was on Tolkien even. And so I want to go back and read those stories even just for the historical and influential context. But I also want to consume the stories. And I just, at the time of reading it, it wasn't clicking, it wasn't hitting with me. And so I decided it's best to put it down rather than push myself through it, because it's going to take forever to push through. So anyways, those are the answers that I came up with to the Bring Back Browsing book tag. Thank you for Shannon for tagging me. Who am I going to tag on this one? I don't really tag people. Usually I do Liam from Liam's Lyceum. Usually I do Shannon, except that Shannon tagged me in this one, so I can't tag him back. And oftentimes these aren't even people who do them. I can also tag David Wiley, who hasn't posted video in a long time. Might be a fun one for him to do if he hasn't already done it. I should tag, I bet you he has already done it, but I'm going to tag Steve Donahue. And this one, I don't think he does tags very often, but he also says, I don't do tags because nobody ever tags me. And so I'm going to tag him and see what happens with it. If he's already done it, oh well. But those are the 3 people that I'm going to tag on this one, since I don't know who else to tag. I'm sure there's other people, and if you are somebody who likes being tagged in book tags, let me know, and I will add you on the list of people that I tag with book tags. Anyways, now I'm rambling. Said tag a lot of times, and I don't need to do that anymore. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. We have our social medias linked in the description box down below. If you like what you're seeing from an Erudite Adventure, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.